Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Might be good morning to some of you guys, depending on where you're at in the States or around the world. But I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope everybody's having a blessed day, participating in your recovery today. I woke up in a really good mood today, kind of in an inspiring mood. A lot of the readings here the last few days have been talking about participation and participating in your recovery and giving back what's been so freely given to us. Um, and through the holidays, good morning, Christine. Um, through the holidays, man, I know people struggle. I know I do personally, for sure. Um, Saturday Hope is what I'm going to title this. This is kind of a spur of the moment, flying by the seat of my pants. Freestyle. I'm one that likes to write things down and plan things out. I'm a planner. I'm like a perfectionist. So like today I'm just soloing it and flying by the seat of my pants. You know what? This is for everyone and anyone out there that is struggling, is lost. You feel like you're unloved, you're unwanted. You're not wanting to go on. This is for you guys, because I was that person at one point in my life. There is a way out of this, guys, and we can do this. You can do this. I'm going to share a little bit about Joe. Meet your host. You guys don't know a whole lot about me or a whole lot of my background. I'm going to share a little bit of my experience, strength, and hope. So if you're out there struggling, please reach out, but please listen. Anyone that's on here now, please share this. We need to get the inspiration and the encouragement out there to let other people know that we do recover and there is a way out. And there's people out here that love and care about you. Because I was that guy that it almost becomes suicidal, especially during the holidays. And I was beating myself up really bad. I got into my own head. I was into that stinking thinking. 45 years old. I live in Dayton. Obviously, Dayton Strong Recovery 101 was founded in Dayton, Ohio. No rhyme or reason. It was just something I came up with to share the message, to encourage and inspire other people. I absolutely love giving back and being of service and helping other people. And if something that I can possibly share or say or do to help someone get out of this mess and just give them a little glimmer of hope, that's what it's all about, guys. Morning, Patty. It's morning for you. I can say that. It's afternoon for me. But I tell you what, I grew up in southeastern Indiana. I grew up in a farming community. High school was in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a cornfield, and I think it still is in St. Leon, Indiana. I was forced to go to a Catholic school at a young age. So right away, I was being forced to do something that I didn't like. And, I'm an addict, so you can't tell me what to do, right? I'm stubborn, I'm bullheaded. And I had a bad taste for religion at an early age. And, finally, I think I went to a Catholic school roughly until I was about, I don't know, I was fourth or fifth grade, and I transferred over into the public school system. But, I rebelled. I fought. I kicked, I screamed. I had to go to Catholic masses day in and day out. I absolutely hated it. So I had a bad taste at an early age. And it kind of carried over to public schooling. When I was growing up, I didn't really know or see or feel my addictive behaviors, but they were always there. I finally realized that, a lot of this all stemmed from my early childhood. So growing up, in high school, I played sports. I played a lot of baseball. I played some football. But I always felt like I didn't fit in, like I was an outcast because I was in a country school. but like I'm rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like I'm heavy metal, rock and roll. I don't want to say hardcore because I'm really not. I'm a big teddy bear, but that was the kind of people that I hung out with. Guys drove big lifted trucks and four wheel drives, which I absolutely love today. But back then, I was into lowriders and mini trucks. I was into the skater crowd. Um, I was different, and I stuck out, and I felt like an outcast growing up. Through my high school years, I gained a lot of weight, playing sports, playing baseball, playing football. I blew up. I was over 300 pounds when I was in school. So there was some, getting hazed and getting picked on. People were mean. They said nasty things. They were really, really hateful. I've heard literally every fat joke known to anyone. And just face it, people in high school deal with a lot of shit, and it's tough. It's really tough. The bullying and hazing's the real deal. Um, and I dealt with a lot of that. I skipped a lot of school. I barely graduated high school because I wasn't there for my senior pictures. I just didn't care. I was an isolator. These addictive behaviors were always present is what I'm going with. Because I isolated. I loved being alone. I loved being by myself. I had my little tight knit crowd of friends that I hung out with, and we would socially drink and smoke and do what, teenagers do. But I didn't look at it as addictive behaviors. I didn't look at my isolation as troublesome, um, and it became troublesome, believe me. Um, I married in my early 20s to my first wife. This is number one. There's only two, but we're on number one. My first wife, and this is something that I don't share a whole lot, but I married into a relationship with a woman that was bisexual, and there was that bisexual relationship. I allowed that, and I hid that from a lot of people. Um, Up until literally a year and a half ago. And that's the God's honest truth because I was ashamed. There was a lot of ego and pride and guilt and shame involved in that. And I was embarrassed. I didn't want to admit that. But at the time, I was in love. And, things didn't work out and we separated. And at that point in my life, I was so miserable, not only in my marriage, I wasn't happy with myself. I was bouncing around from job to job. I had blown up and allowed my weight to get out of control. And this is when I really started realizing I had addictive behaviors. I had blown up to over 500 pounds. I had gotten to 510 pounds at my heaviest. And I was drinking and eating to mask all the pain and the anxiety and the depression that I was feeling on a daily basis. I had become a master isolator at that point in my mid to early 20s because I was literally the elephant in the room. I was literally the elephant in the room. I was a gigantic man. I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't love myself. I didn't care about myself. I still had a huge heart, but I just simply isolated all the time because people suck. Just to be blunt, people suck and they say hateful things. And I had a hard enough time getting around and moving and being a productive member of society because of my disability of being overweight and my feet and legs. And I just wasn't mobile. I could hardly move. And I had a doctor tell me when I was at the age of 26 that if I didn't have this gastric bypass surgery, which back then was the full Roux-en-Y. If anyone is medical out there knows what that is, they cut you from your breastbone down to your belly button and crack you open. That's the surgery I had, guys. And if I didn't have that surgery, my heart was going to explode and I'd be dead before I was 30. And I was 26 at that point in my life. And I had the surgery. I had gone through the divorce. I was still married to my first wife when I had that. I started losing a bunch of weight. after the surgery. And people started looking at me differently. The people that would never give me a second look or a second chance or a second hello, all of a sudden were starting to come around because I was losing all this weight. And I guess to them, I was becoming more attractable or a better looking guy. Um, I was easier to approach. They weren't walking up to that big fat guy sitting over at the corner. I'm being blunt. That's just how I am. So if I offend anybody, I'm sorry, but really I'm not, because this is how I feel about it. Um, just saying. But people started coming around. They started popping up in my life, and I had a horrible taste in my mouth about that. Like, what do they want? What are they after? Like, you MFers didn't come around when I was big. Why the hell are you coming around now? Type of attitude. And it was really, it hurt me. You know what I mean? Like I've got a lot of resentments. I had a lot of resentments. I've let a lot of it go. I had a lot of resentments towards people. Um, it's tough. It's really tough. I had stayed single. At this point in my life, I was working for a gigantic tire organization out of Cincinnati. Successful, had my own home, was doing really well for myself. I stayed single for a while, and in comes my second wife, which ironically was the best friend at the time of my first wife. It's funny how that works. But I had remarried into honestly a wonderful marriage, and my addiction spiraled out of control after I had that surgery. That's when I was introduced to liquid pain medication. They had me on liquid morphine. Um, and don't worry, guys, I'm not going to dramatize the using or anything, but they had introduced me to the liquid pain medication, and I was on that for about 2 or 3 months, and it was the normal progression. We're all addicts. We know how to use. It went from the liquid form to the pill form. I was trying to work and maintain and keep myself together, and I was falling apart mentally, spiritually, physically. I was trying to hold it together on the inside, and I just simply couldn't do it. I was falling apart. Um, the prescription started to run out. I was seeking. I was bouncing all over the place from doctor to doctor, from hospital to hospital, trying to get what I wanted to feel normal throughout the day. And it started to dry up. I was exhausting all my resources. And I was introduced to heroin in my early 30s. And that's when things really, really became super unmanageable. I just didn't see it, and I struggled with heroin for a really long time, to the point to where the job I was working for, a tire company I was employed at, I had gotten fired for stealing, doing shady stuff behind the scenes and under the table. And I did time in the state of Indiana. I was incarcerated for a while. I was on parole. I had probation. I went through the gamut. And during all this, my second wife at the time um, divorced me because of the hell that I was putting everyone through, including her, that was completely blindsided by the entire situation. I had gotten a divorce. There's a lot that I'm leaving out, but it's irrelevant. I really don't need to even touch on all the details. But I had gotten divorced. I was locked up in the Indianapolis area in Indiana. I had gotten released. I was in my mid 30s, and I was at a um, bus station across from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, and I had state issued clothes on and a $50 reentry JPay card in my pocket. And I'll get back to this because there's a point to why I'm talking about that, um, where I'm at today. And I was hopeless. Um, I was untreated. I was struggling with mental health and addiction issues. I had just gotten out of prison. I had no resources. I was lost. I didn't know how to get back home other than to get a bus pass and try to get back to Cincinnati somehow. And that's what I ended up doing. And I stayed stuck. I had literally lost everything and everyone that I had loved and cared about because of the addiction. Um, I was in my mid 30s. I had made it back to a town or a city in this area called Hamilton, which is in between Dayton and Cincinnati. Was in Hamilton, Ohio. Was bouncing around in relationships, couch surfing, um, basically anyone that would take me in because I was homeless and I didn't have anywhere to go. I was working BS jobs. I was driving taxi cabs, hiring a kite daily, and how I didn't kill myself or anyone else is beyond me. Thank God I didn't, but I did do that daily, almost every day. People were trusting their lives with my driving abilities in a cab, and I was hiring a kite. It's scary, man. It's just the insanity of what addiction drives people to do. And when I look back on it, I'm thankful to be here. But I tell you, I stayed stuck, and I stayed stuck for a long time. Um, in and out of chronic homelessness. I've been homeless. I've lived on the streets of Cincinnati, here in Dayton, um, different areas of Indiana. Um, I've lived under bridges. I've lived in homeless camps. I've lived in portalettes to protect myself from the weather, the elements, the snow, because I got kicked out of the institutions. I got kicked out of the homeless shelters. I was just out of control, and I was completely hopeless. I was unloved. I felt unwanted. My family and friends had stopped enabling me. They stopped sending me money because, we become master manipulators. I had become one. I could sell a peanut salesman a bag of peanuts if I needed to. And, I just had exhausted all my resources, but I wasn't ready to stop using. I still continued to use. Um, I've been in 7 or 8. I'd have to write them down, to be honest with you. 7 or 8 inpatient, outpatient treatment centers, countless sober living facilities. I used to self admit myself into psychiatric units and fake a suicide just to get off the street, to get put on a 72-hour love or uh, tough love. I was reading your comment, Christine. A 72-hour hold just to get off the street. Um, in this area, they have to put you on a hold and put you on a psych evaluation. So I knew how to manipulate the system. I knew how to get a hot meal. I knew how to get a bed to sleep on, when I was really struggling and withdrawing and going through the DTs and needed to get off the street. And I'm just going to fast forward. I as obviously have lost a lot of weight. COVID has allowed me to gain a little bit of weight. I'm blaming it on COVID, even though it's me, but I like to eat. Um, but like I've always had trust issues with other people, because of the pain and the trauma, the hateful things that people would say growing up. There was a lot of mental, not as much physical abuse, but a lot of mental and spiritual abuse, from people's actions and things that they say and do. Um, and I had a gigantic wall. I was super depressed. I struggled with depression and anxiety, self-worth, self-love, self-acceptance. I mean, just to narrow it up into a big nutshell. I hated myself and I didn't want to be here anymore. And I had really gotten to a point in my life, where I was becoming suicidal. Those thoughts were starting to pop up. I hadn't tried it yet. I didn't really ever come up with a game plan to do it, but it was there and it was coming. It was the next thing on the checkoff list. They say that, whenever you say yet, it's coming. Well, it was coming. It just hadn't happened yet. And, somehow I landed in Dayton. and Fairborn. I was in Fairborn first and was working in Fairborn. Um, was working a good job for an automotive company once again, driving. And, after almost 20 years of active addiction, and like I said, in and out of all these treatment centers, living on the street, the camps, just the gamut, the ringer that active addiction puts just about everyone through, um, if not everyone. Um, I got tired of it. I was driving and I don't know what came across something that someone said in a 12-step fellowship that I had attended at one point. Thank God they were practicing step 12 and was giving back what's been so freely given to them. And there's a lot of gratitude in that. That seed that they planted, that we all hear people talking about daily, about planting that seed and giving back and sharing your experience, strength, and hope. That's why I do this, guys. Um, to let others know that there's a way out of this and there's people that do love and care about you and can help you, and show you another way, a better way to live, and give that inspiration of hope. It's hope to the hopeless. My good friend Phil says that all the time. Spreading hope to the hopeless means a lot. And that's what happened. I just surrendered. I just simply surrendered. I had had enough. I had run out of quarters to continue pumping in that ass kicking machine that I chose to do for a really, really long time. And I surrendered. I self admitted myself 40 last time in an inpatient treatment center here in Dayton, Ohio. And I literally left everything behind once again. All the countless times where I gained everything and lost everything, gained everything and lost everything, time in and time out, decades of losing and gaining everything. I gave it all up again, guys. I realized that I couldn't save my face and my ass at the same time, and I had to let go of that ego and that pride and that fear and that guilt and shame and just simply surrender and turn it over to something greater than myself and get out of my own way. I finally realized that my will and my thought process, my stinking thinking wasn't working. I tried and tried and tried and tried. And let me tell you guys, there's just not a solution to my thought process other than to surrender and reach out and ask for help and stay vigilant in my recovery. And when I'm struggling, ask for help. It took me a long time to realize that. It took me a long time to realize that I needed to be honest and share with people that love and care about me where I'm at, no matter what I'm going through or how my day's going. If I'm having a great day or you're having a great day, share, talk about it. If you're having a bad day, share, talk about it. I need to hear it. And I know a lot of other people would love to hear it. And I still am kind of uncomfortable with it. This is honestly uncomfortable a little bit for me because I don't usually do this. I'm not a spur of the moment, fly by the seat of the pants type of guy. I'm a planner. This is completely uncut, raw, unedited, and I'm missing a lot of points, but you know what? That's okay. Because the more I do it and the more I try and the more I practice, the better I get. And hopefully somebody takes something out of something I'm saying today. And if you don't, keep coming back, right? Keep coming back. You might hear someone else share something that you might stick. But I went through this treatment center. I stayed in treatment for 3 months. And that old saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. Well, I had to really sit back and look at my life and figure out what I hadn't changed or what I was doing to stay stuck in that vicious cycle of insanity. And one thing that I had always done was I never slowed down. I never trusted the process. I always wanted what I wanted when I wanted it because I'm an addict. I'm impatient. I didn't want to wait for anything. I wanted that shit right now. And I simply just slowed down and I pumped the brakes. And I made the choice while I was in treatment to sell my car that I drove in there with, to relinquish control of the assets, which was a little bit of money that I had left, over to someone else. And I continued into another inpatient treatment center. Started all over again after I had just completed one because I knew I needed it and I needed to stay in recovery and surround myself with it as long as I possibly could. And I went into another intensive, long term inpatient, which turned into an outpatient after my cat's live stream bombing me. Say hi to everybody real quick. Hi, guys. One of my cats. But I stayed in that treatment up until almost 11 months, just shy of my 1 year clean mark. I stayed surrounded in recovery as far as treatment's concerned. And it was the best thing that I had ever done in my life because, I had had countless sponsors. Hey, Stitch. I had countless sponsors and countless people tell me time and time out to slow down and to keep my recovery and me number one. And it took me a long time to realize that. And it finally, something just clicked and I did it and I continue to do it. And I stayed in that treatment center and I participated in my recovery day in and day out, even on the days when I didn't want to and I didn't want to get out of bed or I didn't want to go to group because I was hearing the same, keep coming back. It works if it works, it works if you work it. And, nothing changes if nothing changes. I could go on with them, like they used to drive me absolutely insane. But they make sense today. They really do. And I hold them near and dear to my heart because they're so true. They are all so true. I moved out. I got to move into this beautiful apartment. It's a studio. It's really small and it's tight, but you know what? It's ours. It's my girlfriend and I's. Today, guys, by simply just slowing down and having trust and faith in the process and realizing that there are people out there that love and care about me, I've turned my life around completely. I've changed all aspects of my life. I went from hopeless to hopeful and grateful. I changed my thought process from that negative thinking to a positive mindset and that attitude of gratitude. And it didn't happen overnight, and it's probably not going to happen for you overnight if you're struggling right now. You have to give yourself a break and slow down and just have trust and faith in the process and just stay vigilant daily, day in and day out, and just keep chipping away and keep coming back. As much as I hate to say that, it's so true because I did. And, today I am blessed with being able to work in the recovery and mental health field and give back what's been so freely given to me. It was the daily meditation for the 12-step fellowship that I personally work today about the importance of it and giving back and staying vigilant in your recovery. It's been one reading after another daily. And it's usually around the holidays when I start seeing these. And that's why I wanted to come on and share a little bit about my story. It's not the complete story, guys, but a little bit more about me. I'm happy today. I'm hopeful. I get to give back daily. I get to participate in my recovery daily. I'm not a recovery philosopher and I don't know it all. I'm remaining teachable. I just like doing what I do. I like sharing the experience, strength, and hope, in hopes to inspire someone else. I go to work every day and I see people struggling. I pass people struggling. I see people flying signs. I see people curled up in tents and in homeless camps and shelters. And it breaks my heart. But it's a grim reminder of where I was just a short period ago and how far I've came. And that if you work a 12-step program or you get into treatment and you stay surrounded in recovery, there's a way out of this mess. There is hope for the hopeless out there. That's why it's so important to share, the experience, strength of hope of not only like say this stream, but other streams. There's many online recovery virtual platforms that do this day in and day out. And God bless them all. There's not enough of them. I mean, in my opinion, there's not enough of them, and they can't be shared enough. The more we share, the more we reach, the more we possibly may hope and save, and just let everyone know that there's a way out of this mess, guys. That there is hope. That you don't have to be lost. You don't have to have that feeling of being broken and unloved, or an outcast. Get outside of yourself. I'm super stubborn and I have control issues myself, but I just had to simply surrender and let that stuff go and change my thought process. I appreciate for those that stayed in here to listen. I appreciate you taking the time out to listen to this stream. I really do. If you haven't shared it, please share it. Hopefully somebody may hear it that really needs to hear it. That needs to hear that they're loved today and that they're wanted and that we do recover. Please reach out and ask for help. There's many resources and help out there available. You can reach out personally to me through the Dayton Strong Recovery 101 webpage. There's many online services. Please reach out to someone that loves and cares about you because you are loved and you are wanted. We do recover. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. I hope everybody has a blessed day. Hope everybody participates in their recovery today. And remember, change your thought process from a negative one to a positive one and keep that attitude of gratitude. It's super important. It's helped me in my personal recovery by just simply changing my process and remembering how far I've came and where I'm at today and being grateful for the little things in life. There's opportunity daily, guys. Go after it. Chase it like you used to chase your dope, 110%. Go after those opportunities. Participate, and share. I love you guys. Stay positive. We'll talk to you guys later. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for listening, guys. I really do.